Hello and welcome to 15 for 15. I am your host, John Zalkin from RKW Residential. 15 for 15 is a new and exciting video series where we interview 15 influential people in real estate for 15 minutes each, where we will get their perspective on what is happening in real estate during COVID-19. A little bit about RKW. RKW Residential is an award-winning third-party multifamily property management firm with over 20,000 multifamily units under management and a growing footprint spanning 6 states. RKW delivers expertise in multifamily management through its technology, marketing, and customer experience platforms. My guest today is Eric Callis from Boardroom PR. Eric is actually our PR person for RKW, and it is really great to have Eric here with us. Eric, who is the vice president and works with clients in real estate, legal, banking, and other industries. With more than a decade of communication experience as a business reporter and editor, Eric has extensive industry knowledge, digital media experience, and news judgment, including substantial broadcasting, business development, public speaking, and social media experience to offer Boardroom PR's clients and media relations. Eric, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of 15 for 15. I know you're not a real estate person per se, but I know you have a lot of clients in real estate like us and a lot of other people. So I really wanted to bring you on to discuss what's happening in the public relations industry, more specifically, what is happening with your real estate clients, how they've had to adapt to things they're seeing. But to kick it off, if you could just briefly expand a little bit more about Boardroom and you, and then we'll dig right into the hard-hitting questions.
Well, John, I'm thrilled to be speaking with you. It's nice to step away from the grind for a moment and kind of take a step back and reflect on what myself and other public relations and marketing practitioners have been doing this last month or so. Just to tell you a little bit more about myself and Boardroom, I've been with Boardroom for 5 years now, following a decade-long career in journalism, primarily covering real estate. So I do have a lot of years under my belt tracking the real estate industry as a reporter and editor with the Daily Business Review, Miami Today, The Real Deal most recently, and that led into my transition into Boardroom, which love working with Boardroom. It is a public relations and integrated marketing firm that's been around for 3 decades. So I'm 1/6 along in Boardroom's 30-plus year run. Headquartered in Fort Lauderdale, offices in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Orlando. So we do have a statewide presence with 2 senior people on the ground in Orlando. So we service clients all over Florida and real estate clients that have activities all over the country and sometimes even internationally. And we're a proud partner of RKW Residential, like you mentioned, been working with RKW for 4 years now, and it's a great relationship.
No, we really appreciate all you've done. And, give a little background. This came about the 15 for 15 by you and I getting together on the telephone and trying to figure out really what I was going to do every day, more or less. But I really enjoyed conversations and, being a person who's out and about a lot in the community and going through a lot of events and seeing you there and doing things. We both kind of came up with this idea of, well, why don't I just start interviewing people who I do business with or in business community and try to get the word out on what's happening, because it's been, no one really has any answers. I've interviewed now a lot of people, north of 17 or 18 people, so I guess it's not 15 for 15 anymore. We've had a lot of success with it. People are happy, but what I'm learning is from the biggest and the smallest, nobody really knows what's out there and what's happening. And the reason why I thought it was important to have you on is you're the pulse of the ground. You're speaking to all your clients. I know you have a lot of developer clients, you have management clients, you have broker clients, and what I really want to know is how's it changed? Where before I know how you worked with us and some of the things you were doing for our PR side and for our company spanning 6 different states and all the things you were doing. What's changed besides you working out of your house with 2 young kids? And
yeah, and you can see the child lock behind me, one of many in the house. John, I just want to say, I thought I knew a lot of people in the real estate industry, and then I started running into you at event after event, and you are quite the mover and shaker when it comes to having contacts in the real estate industry. And as you said, we wanted to come up with a creative way to do something a little bit different and have industry leaders and business leaders talk about what they're seeing, but in a shorter format, one-on-one interview, and something that people can watch at their leisure. It's taped. It lives on RKW's website, so we're not trying to kind of duplicate what's already being done with all the webinars and virtual panels. And there's no shortage of those. And I highly recommend checking out some of the various industry organizations and companies that are putting those on. But we wanted something that would live on and that people in their downtime, because we know how busy everybody in the industry is right now. It's pretty much nonstop. Can take a step back from what they're doing, like I am now, and kind of just looking at things in a big picture and learning from the various experts. So I don't know where I fit in on the spectrum of real estate experts, other than the fact, as you alluded to, we work with clients that touch just about every aspect of real estate. Every sector is covered, every market in South Florida. Like I said, we're statewide, and we have a lot of clients like in RKW that are in many states across the country. So I guess for starters, just kind of running the spectrum of our different clients and what they're thinking about. It's been an evolving process. This has been a constantly changing story and constantly changing crisis, where over the last 4 weeks, no 2 days have been the same as far as how this has progressed, what the issues of the day are. I would say anybody in a tenant-oriented real estate business, whether you're a multifamily owner or operator, or a retail or office owner, operator, developer, the first concern obviously has been, well, first is taking care of yourself and your family and your employees. But then from there, the immediate concern has shifted to securing your properties, making sure that they're safe, that you have the best practices when it comes to sanitizing your buildings, bringing in extra help to do that, setting up the appropriate stations, the communications to your tenants has been absolutely paramount. So we've been helping a lot behind the scenes, first with internal communications and helping certain clients get the word out to their employees that this is getting serious. This has now traveled to the US, and if it hasn't already affected our community, it will be soon. This is what you need to know about what we're doing and what we're thinking about. And you are our top priority, and really hammering home the message that we're all in this together. So we've been helping with those internal communications, and then a lot of external communications to tenants, whether it's website copy with property owners, drafting copy that they can put on their website. So any tenants that visit their website can hear directly from them what they're thinking about, what they're doing, providing helpful links, resources where people can apply for assistance, because we know that that's one of the number one questions that impacted, whether it's an individual tenant at an apartment building right now that may be looking for resources as far as unemployment goes. If it's a small business, there are a lot of resources available that they need to navigate as far as getting small business assistance, and a lot of great programs out there. So helping convey that message through the website, through e-blasts and e-newsletters, through social media, and doing it in a lot of different ways. The written word, producing videos where the leaders of real estate companies are speaking directly to their contacts and their tenants and communicating that way, and really just hitting them on all fronts. And then there's obviously the media relations and the PR component to this, which we can get into in a second. But taking care of the home base has been kind of the...
Yeah, I want to stop you there, because most people wouldn't think of PR company working internally and externally to the tenants and to the clients. I know we've worked a lot together and you've crafted a lot of stuff. And that's why, again, I thought it was important to get you on, because a lot of people just think, oh, PR, I sold the deal. Let me get the PR company to let the real deal know, or the daily business review, hey, we sold the deal, or we bought a deal, or we refinanced the deal, things like that. But in terms of crisis, it's almost like crisis management is what you're really doing out there, and getting out internally. You have to prioritize and execute, right? So you have to find the most important people and execute to that, which are your own people, educate them, and then move to the next group, which is your tenants, and you have to educate them and do it. And the third phase is the PR. Now I know we've had some issues with some COVID-19 where we've had to get out in front of it with some tenants that have had it. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you guys worked with not only us, but other companies, and what is, I don't want to say a protocol, but how you guys went about helping to craft responses to those.
You bring up some great big picture points as well. So I'll just touch on that for a second, where I think a lot of people don't understand the nature of public relations and maybe simplify what a public relations firm or a publicist does. And it's kind of some people just think of it as getting your client's name in the paper. And it's that simple. It's just media. And what public relations firms like ours have really become are integrated marketing agencies, like I said, and more so than providing additional services beyond the PR, like the creative, the social media, the digital marketing. It's also being a strategic consultant, and not just consulting about the PR side of things, but really being a consultant for their entire business and making sure that your public relations and marketing objectives dovetail with your overall business goals. So that's often where the conversation starts, even before COVID-19 happened, with clients, whether it's a regular call or meeting with a client or somebody new that we're onboarding. The first thing that you have to ascertain, what are your overall business objectives? And then everything falls into place from there as far as strategy goes. So it's much more of a multi-pronged approach to representing a real estate or any kind of client as a PR and marketing agency. So in crisis communication has been something that Boardroom PR has done really from the beginning, and it's one of our specialties. And as you noted, we've now had to apply some of those crisis communications best practices to just about our entire client base, because this is a unique crisis in the sense that nobody's unscathed from it. I mean, tell me somebody who hasn't been affected by COVID-19.
Well, we were talking about it the other day on a call I was having, that it's the first time ever that the whole world, all four corners of the world, are all affected by the same thing. You had world wars, not everybody was affected. You had 9/11, not everybody was affected. You had SARS, you had all these things, but this is literally the first time that no matter where in the world you are, you're thinking about it. Because we were on a call with one of our clients who has investors from around the world, and we were figuring out how to discuss, and they were talking to them, and they were like, I was like, how's it going with your investor base? They're like, fine, because they're dealing with the same thing in Europe and Asia that we are here, which is interesting. We're short on time. 15 minutes flies when you're having fun, especially with a friend. Talk real quickly about the responses to COVID-19 and how that came about, and some thoughts and ideas to help somebody to the next group.
Well, my fault for yammering, but
okay.
So to try to summarize, because we are having fun, but to try to summarize briefly in terms of you going back to your question about responding, I think both internally and externally when there was a COVID-19 situation, at a property you own. So the first thing that we focus on, obviously, is the internal messaging. So if it's a multifamily operator, making sure whether we're drafting or if we're reviewing existing copy, where it's a letter informing the residents or tenants, depending on the type of property it is, that there's an instance of COVID-19. Obviously, you have to first and foremost protect the privacy of the affected individual, but you also have to clearly communicate what you are doing to protect everybody else. So you have to be explicit about your best practices when it comes to sanitizing and keeping the community safe. If it's an apartment community, you have to emphasize that you've closed down all the amenities, what you're doing in terms of protocol when you have delivery drop-offs, both food service and package deliveries. A lot of communities we're finding are moving package deliveries to receiving areas, for instance, so there's no interaction with front entrances. So being explicit about all those details and making it clear that the safety of all the residents or tenants is the top priority. So getting that internal messaging down, and then when media requests come in, whether it's an opportunity to talk in general and demonstrate thought leadership about best practices, or if a reporter in a market finds out about a case of COVID-19 at your property and wants a statement, you can work off of the messaging that you've already established internally and just make sure you refine it for that media audience.
That's great. Well, Eric, I can't thank you enough. And like I tell everybody, I want to bring everybody back one more time because things are changing day to day, and each day is different. So, I know we work very closely with you, and I appreciate you sharing some of the insight into your world and what's happening. And now let's do our lightning round. You ready?
Let's have some fun.
I know this isn't your expertise, but does the 10-year close over or under 1% by the end of this year?
Gonna say over.
All right. The next time you're on an airplane, over or under 90 days?
Over.
Now, this is the most important question. Next time you attend a networking event, over or under 90 days?
I'm gonna have to say over, although it pains me because it's probably my favorite thing to do in this job is network with other people, and there's so many great industry events we're missing out on. So I'm gonna say over, but slightly.
Next lunch or dinner at a restaurant with a client, over or under 90 days?
Over, but slightly.
Is the election suspended, yes or no?
No.
Will Trump win or lose?
I'm going to say lose. And going into this year, I thought there was no chance of that happening, but I think this virus has completely flipped the narrative, and I'm not going to elaborate beyond that so I don't alienate or offend any of our viewers who have stayed with us to this point.
Does the stock market end over or under 20,000 by the end of the year?
I'm going to say over. I think there's a late year rally once we get through the worst of this.
Does the U.S. COVID-19 infection rate go over or under 500,000 in the U.S.?
Infection rate?
To
I'm going to say yes, and I'm hoping that the death rate is a fraction.
All right. And last but not least, do you think you will be on a vacation in the next 6 months?
No, but that's only because with a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old baby, we have no desire to go on any family vacations anytime soon. Unless you count the annual summer trip up to my parents' house for July 4th, which I don't count as a vacation, but I'm very much hoping we get to do that.
Eric, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of 1515. I really appreciate you giving the insight into the PR business.
Thanks so much, John.
Everyone, we hope you all stay safe and practice social distancing, and make sure to wash your hands. If you have any questions or would like to find this video, please visit rkwresidential.com.